Alright, RunForcio.velocity.net. Do a pitch analysis here. Sam, pair him up with a Sao, our Japanese pitcher. I just picked him similar builds here. So I like to find someone at least a similar build. High velocity pitcher who has really, or mechanics that represent 3x pitching. So he does a good job of that. Let's take Sam here into his leg lift. Take a Sao into his leg lift. Okay. So a Sao is, they're probably actually both, y'all are both in the same position, which is good. So if we draw that line off the drive leg just to see where you are momentum wise, we can see both of you very similar position. So that's good. You know, you lift up and back. Sal has more of a reaction here, meaning he's a little bit of rotational as well. But into his lift, he's moving forward, and the lift leg is moving back, and that has to do with his rotation. And Sam is just kind of lifting up and back. So, oops, let's start here. So lifting up and back. So you can see if we look at the first move, so when the hips start to move, which way is the knee going? We can see the knee is moving forward and even faster than the hips. If we watch a Sao here, when he moves forward, his knee's moving forward. I mean, his knee's moving with that hip, so not as big of a reaction as like what we see in Chapman, who's one of my favorites with this move. But he also holds it back there longer than what Sam's doing. You can see Sam coming out of the lift and the legs going down pretty aggressive. We want to make sure that we hold that back. We don't want this lift leg to start moving really aggressive, because then it's going to get out early. And once it gets out early and breaks this front hip, that's when things start to change in the delivery. That's when we aren't able to build as much speed down the mound. Because when that lift leg gets out, it gets in front of us and slows us down. It also begins to open up, which starts the hips to rotate, which shuts down power production, because that drive leg is going to rotate at the same time that the front leg is rotating. So we don't want that happening until just before front foot strike. So we got to make sure coming out of the leg lift that the lift leg isn't going too fast, which Sam's is going a little fast, but we'll take you to your load. So you can see right there, your lift leg knee breaks your front hip. So we'll put you right here. Let's take us out of that same position when lift leg knee breaks his front hip. So you can see, I mean, not saying that that's the best move, whatever works for you, but he extends the leg to really hold it back. You know, Chapman, he kind of tucks the leg at this point, but still holds it back. So when that lift leg knee breaks the front hip, look at the difference in the force vector here. Look at the different in the distance that he's covered. Therefore, we know more speed is moving through his body. So we can see that. This is common with high velocity pitchers. They move faster through their strides. So this is the lift leg knee breaking the front hip. This is your lift leg knee breaking your front hip. And look at your force vector. This is so important, the ankle to knee, the direction of the ankle to knee, because that's the direction of force. We will not build force through this ground until it is linear. Because if we try to build force when you're in this vertical position, Sam, you're going to jump, and you won't do that because it's taking you away from what you're trying to do, which is get down the mound, get your hips open before you throw the ball, and that's what high velocity pitchers do. And the reason we have to there's two reasons we got to get this force vector down. One reason is it's going to build us speed in this linear direction. It's going to take us faster towards the target, which high velocity guys are able to do and convert that into the ball. The other thing it's going to do is, and then this is where the conversion comes in, is it's going to affect this back hip. It's going to actually drive this back hip around, that's how we convert it to the ball. Because if we can take the linear stride power into the hip rotation, then we get more hip to shoulder separation, which is force multiplier, and then it moves up the kinetic chain. So if we don't get this force vector down, then none of that happens. So we can see here, and you're a little bit early. Ultimately, that would be kind of the same position more accurately. But you see you're still very vertical, so you're taking longer to move, and we could see that right in the beginning. When your front hip started moving, your lift leg was moving a lot faster. We need to pitch through this drive leg. So when your front hip's moving, this force vector is moving down with it. You're holding the drive leg so you can cover more distances. High velocity guys, they trust their bodies more, meaning they let themselves continue to fall all the way down. I mean, most pitchers wouldn't allow themselves to get down here. There's two things that allow us to get our center of gravity down this low as we're taking our force vector down. We have to have the strength to be able to sit on our drive leg pretty much in a sit position, like you're sitting on a chair, but there's nothing under there. It's all riding on the strength of your leg. And the other thing is we have to have the feeling of and trust our bodies that we can get down there without falling over. And that's the only way we're going to get down there. And the reason we have to get down there is because we put flexion in the drive leg at the same time we take it down and get it linear. Because we can't move into an explosive triple extension, which is how we define the power movement, if we don't have flexion, because you can't have extension without flexion. And you can see as you move, you got flexion right out of the bat, but that was too early. Flexion must meet at the point that the force vector is linear. So I always say the good rule of thumb is the hips start here at leg lift and they finish here in the load. They've got to move forward and down at the same rate. You don't want to move like you did here. You went down and then you go out, because by the time you get your hips out far enough so you can get your force vector down, look what happens. You don't have much flexion. You have a lot of extension. You also you've already started pushing weight forward, so you have a lot of weight out here on your drive leg. And in this case, because your lift leg got out early, you're open. Another problem too of slow moving strides is that our throwing arms get high. We can get into the inverted L's, the inverted W's, if we're not moving down the mountain fast enough. I wrote an article about the pitcher's cure to the inverted L and inverted W. Comes through the speed of the stride. Slow striding pitchers, their arms go up higher, because the arms are always going to break coming out of leg lift. They're going to break with the leg movements. So if you're taking forever to move down this mound, the arms just keep going up and up and up. But if you look at someone who moves quickly, and it might throw you off a little bit because this is a slow motion video, but if you see a guy who moves quickly, look, his hands are breaking at the same time. If we take your hands are breaking at the same time. Look at that. Knees in the same position, hands in the same position. But look, he's moving faster. He's moving faster, so this guy's got to get in position quickly, and this guy's got to get in position quickly. Because when you come to front foot strike, your body knows this guy tucks, this guy cocks. And because you're taking so long, see, look at this, you're way behind front foot, you're not there yet, you're not there yet because this guy isn't down, then all this is flying because it's waiting, it's got to time it. So the timing is off, so it starts going high, high, high. And then look, now you're getting close, and there it goes. Right as you start getting close, it starts tucking, it starts cocking. So we all know, because we've been throwing enough, that we all break our hands when our leg descends. That's why you don't play with handbrake. It's just natural to break it as your leg comes down and you move forward. And we all tuck and cock at front foot strike. It's just something that we've done by throwing over the years. It's something we don't want to mess with. What we need to mess with is how quickly we get from the handbrake to the front foot strike, and that has to do with the stride. We don't want to shorten our strides to do that. We want to speed up our strides to do that, because high velocity pitchers have long strides, but long and explosive strides. Okay, so all your issues are because you're not moving fast enough. You need to learn how to move quicker. You need to learn how to get your force vector lined up quicker. And if all that'll happen, you won't get into these inverted L's, these inverted W's. You won't fall into front foot without using your drive leg. Therefore, you'll have more explosive hip rotation, more hip shoulder separation, and all the way up the body. So, because we can see once we get that drive leg in that perfect load position, flexion, force vector, linear, then we can implement triple extension. We can continue to accelerate this body through the stride. Just before front foot strike, we want to extend, triple extend before front foot strike, just like here, So when we land, we're positive that when we land, those hips are going to slam open. And if those hips slam open before front foot strike, which is proven to be a characteristic of a high velocity pitcher, that's going to pull the hips from the shoulders, creating more optimal hip-shoulder separation, which is also proven by the MPA in 2005-2006 in the velocity study that is 80% of a pitcher's potential velocity, because we built torsion in the body. The average major league fastball is 40, or average major league pitcher is 40 to 60 degrees of separation. And as you see here, if you don't implement that triple extension before front foot strike, and you land, your drive leg hasn't built power. It hasn't driven the hips through, so it's waiting. It's back here as a dead weight, because if we don't drive it through, all the weight stabilizes on this front leg, so this becomes an anchor, and then it pulls this hip down. So if high velocity pitchers drive their hips through earlier and faster at front foot strike, we can't have a weight pulling it down. We have to have a driving force driving it around, like the Sal's done here through triple extension. Because now your hips are going to come through late, and there your hips are open, and here's the Sal's hips are open. You have no hip-shoulder separation. He has optimal hip-shoulder separation. Therefore, he has torsion in the body, which is going to act as a force multiplier as it fires the shoulders open. As long as the front leg stays stable, we get that good forward trunk tilt. As a reaction to that, we get that optimal external rotation behind the head. You can see you're getting poor external rotation, and it's pushing out in front of the face. You're finishing with your torso more vertical. You're trying to get into front leg extension, it's just too late. You want to see front leg extension must come before pitch release, as we can see here. Okay, but all this, except for the front leg, is a reaction to everything that happened at front foot strike, hip to shoulder separation specifically. So the ASMI case study, or their research of comparison of high velocity, low velocity pitchers, proved that the main difference between high velocity and low velocity pitchers is they were more different earlier in the delivery, but more the same at the end. So as you can see, specifically through this analysis, most of your issues are coming from early in the delivery, specifically in what we call the stride phase. And that's what 3X pitching attacks, because we know we can make a significant we can have a significant increase on pitching velocity by making adjustments to a low velocity pitcher in this phase, and ultimately you'll hit that 5 to 10 or more of an increase through the program. So I hope this helps, Sam. I would highly recommend you get into the program if it's something that you're really serious about and you love and you want to do, and you want to do it at an elite level. It's a challenging program, but like I said, if you're committed and it's something you love, then you'll be willing to go through it, and you'll get to experience the results. Alright, so I appreciate your sending video and I hope this helps.